The Mountain Adventure, Part 1. Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a young boy named Tom. Tom was full of energy and loved exploring the world around him. Every day, after school, he would go on small adventures in the fields and forests near his home. But there was one place Tom had never been, the tall, mysterious mountain that stood high above the village. The mountain was called Eagle Peak. It was the highest mountain in the region, and its top was always covered with clouds. The villagers often spoke about Eagle Peak, saying that it was full of secrets and hidden treasures. But they also said it was dangerous, with steep cliffs and wild animals. No one from the village had ever climbed to the top. One summer day, Tom decided he would be the first to reach the top of Eagle Peak. He had heard many stories about the mountain, but he was not afraid. He packed a small bag with some bread, cheese, a bottle of water, and his favorite map. Tom's best friend, Anna, saw him getting ready and asked, "Tom, where are you going?" "I'm going to climb Eagle Peak," Tom replied with a big smile. Anna's eyes widened. "But Tom, the mountain is dangerous. What if something happens to you? Don't worry, Anna. I'll be careful. And maybe I'll find something amazing up there," Tom said. Anna thought for a moment and then said, "If you're going, I'm coming with you. We can take care of each other." Tom was happy to have Anna with him. She was brave, smart, and always knew what to do in difficult situations. Together, they started their journey early the next morning. The path to Eagle Peak was long and difficult. At first, it was easy to walk. They passed through green meadows filled with colorful flowers. The birds sang, and the sun was shining. But as they got closer to the mountain, the path became steeper and rockier. The trees grew taller, and the air became cooler. After a few hours of walking, they reached the foot of the mountain. They looked up and saw how high the mountain really was. The top was hidden by thick clouds, and the sides were covered with sharp rocks and dense forests. "This is going to be harder than I thought," Tom said, feeling a bit nervous. "But we can do it," Anna replied confidently. "We just need to take it one step at a time." They began to climb. The path was narrow, and they had to be very careful not to slip. They used their hands to grab onto rocks and tree roots to keep their balance. As they climbed higher, the trees became fewer, and the rocks became bigger. After a while, they found a small flat area where they could rest. They sat down on the cool rocks and shared the bread and cheese Tom had brought. As they ate, they looked around and saw a beautiful view of the valley below. The village looked so small from up there. "Look, Anna," Tom said, pointing to something shining in the distance. "What's that?" Anna squinted her eyes and said, "It looks like a lake. But it's so far away. Maybe we'll find it when we get higher." Excited by the discovery, they continued their climb. The higher they went, the harder it became. The wind started to blow stronger, and the air became colder. But Tom and Anna did not give up. They encouraged each other and took breaks when they needed to. As they climbed, they began to notice strange things. First, they found a small, old wooden box hidden under a rock. Inside the box was a rusty key and a piece of paper with a drawing of the mountain. The drawing showed a path leading to something marked with an X near the top. "What do you think this means?" Tom asked, looking at the map closely. "I don't know, but it must be important. Maybe it leads to a treasure," Anna said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. They decided to keep the key and the map. As they climbed higher, they found more strange things: a carved wooden figure of an eagle, an old boot, and a small piece of cloth with a symbol they didn't recognize. "This mountain is full of mysteries," Anna said as she picked up the piece of cloth. "I think we're getting closer to something," Tom added. By late afternoon, they reached a large, flat area on the mountain. There was a cave entrance nearby, and the path seemed to go inside. Tom and Anna were tired from climbing all day, so they decided to rest here for the night. They gathered some dry wood and made a small fire to keep warm. As they sat by the fire, eating the last of their food, they talked about the day. They felt proud of how far they had come, but they also knew the hardest part of the climb was still ahead. "We should explore the cave tomorrow," Tom said, looking at the dark entrance. "Yes, but we have to be careful." "Who knows what's inside?" Anna replied. They agreed to explore the cave in the morning and then try to reach the top of the mountain. As the fire died down, they lay on the ground, using their bags as pillows, and fell asleep under the starry sky. That night, Tom dreamed of the mountain. In his dream, he saw the path leading to the top, the shining lake, and something else, something hidden deep inside the mountain, waiting to be discovered. But before he could see what it was, he woke up. The sky was just starting to turn light, with the first signs of dawn. Tom sat up and looked at the cave entrance. Today was the day they would continue their adventure, and maybe, just maybe, uncover the secrets of Eagle Peak. To be continued in Part 2. The Mountain Adventure, Part 2. Tom and Anna woke up early the next morning, the cold mountain air brushing against their faces. The fire had long gone out, and the cave entrance loomed dark and mysterious in front of them. They were excited, but also a little nervous about what they might find inside. "We should go in," Tom said, trying to sound brave, even though his heart was pounding. Anna nodded, tightening her grip on the old map they had found the day before. "Let's be careful. We don't know what's inside." They picked up a few sturdy branches to use as torches. Tom struck a match and lit the branches, which flared up, casting flickering light into the dark cave. Together, they stepped inside, moving slowly and carefully. The cave was cool and damp, with walls covered in strange, ancient markings. The light from their torches danced on the walls, making the drawings seem to move. Some of the markings looked like animals, eagles, bears, and mountain goats, while others were symbols they didn't understand. "Look at this," Anna whispered, pointing to a large drawing of a mountain, with something that looked like a sun shining over its peak. "Maybe this is a clue." Tom studied the drawing. "It looks like the top of the mountain. I think we're getting close." As they ventured deeper into the cave, they noticed the path began to slope upward, leading them higher inside the mountain. The air grew colder, and the sound of their footsteps echoed around them. After what felt like an hour of climbing, they reached a small chamber with a narrow opening at the far end. "Do you see that?" Tom asked, his voice full of wonder. Anna nodded, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Let's see where it leads." They squeezed through the narrow opening and found themselves in a large cavern. The light was coming from a pool of water in the center of the cavern. The water was crystal clear, and the blue light seemed to come from deep within it. Surrounding the pool were large, smooth stones, each one with a different symbol carved into it. Tom and Anna walked around the pool, marveling at its beauty. "I've never seen anything like this," Tom said, dipping his hand into the water. It was surprisingly warm. "Look," Anna said, pointing to the symbols on the stones. These matched the ones on the map. Tom pulled out the old map and studied it closely. The map showed a path leading to a similar pool of water, with the symbols around it. But the map also showed something else, an X marked on the other side of the pool. "There's something hidden here," Tom said, his excitement growing. "We have to find it." They began to search around the pool, feeling along the walls and the stones for any sign of a hidden door or compartment. After a few minutes, Anna called out, "Tom, I think I found something." Tom hurried over to where Anna was standing. She had found a small crack in the wall, just big enough for her fingers to fit inside. "It feels like there's a lever or something in here," she said. "Try pulling it," Tom suggested. Anna pulled on the lever, and with a rumbling sound, part of the wall began to slide open, revealing a hidden passageway. The passageway was narrow and dark, but at the end they could see another faint light. "Should we go in?" Anna asked, looking at Tom. "We've come this far. We can't stop now," Tom replied. They entered the passageway, squeezing through the narrow space until they reached the light at the end. When they stepped out, they found themselves in another cavern, smaller than the first, but even more amazing. In the center of the cavern stood a large, ancient chest, covered in dust and cobwebs. The chest was made of dark wood, with iron bands and a large lock on the front. Around the chest were more of the strange symbols, carved into the floor and walls. "This must be it," Tom said, hardly able to believe their discovery. "The key?" Anna exclaimed. "The key we found yesterday, it must be for this chest." Tom pulled out the rusty key they had found under the rock and handed it to Anna. She took a deep breath and inserted the key into the lock. At first, it wouldn't turn, but after a moment of struggle, there was a loud click and the lock fell open. They slowly lifted the heavy lid of the chest, holding their breath. Inside, they found something incredible, a large, ancient book, its cover made of thick leather. The pages were yellowed with age, and the writing inside was in a language they couldn't understand. "What is this?" Tom asked, carefully turning the pages. Anna examined the book closely. It looks like some kind of journal. Maybe it belonged to someone who climbed this mountain long ago. As they continued to look through the book, they found drawings of the mountain similar to the ones they had seen in the cave. There were also notes written in the margins, as if the person who had written the book was trying to solve a mystery. "Do you think this book could tell us more about the mountain's secrets?" Tom asked. "It must," Anna said, "but we need to figure out how to read it." They carefully closed the book and put it back in the chest. They were about to leave the cavern when Anna noticed something else inside the chest, a small, metal box hidden beneath the book. "What's this?" she asked, pulling the box out. The box was locked, but it was much smaller than the chest. Tom used the same key to unlock it, and when they opened the box, they found something even more surprising, a beautiful, golden compass, unlike any they had ever seen. The compass was finely crafted, with intricate designs on its surface. But what was most unusual was that the needle didn't point north. Instead, it spun slowly, as if searching for something. "This is no ordinary compass," Tom said, watching the needle move. "It must be connected to the mountain somehow," Anna replied. "Maybe it points to something else, something we haven't found yet." They decided to take the compass with them, along with the book. They carefully closed the chest and left the cavern, heading back through the passageway to the pool of water. As they walked back through the cave, the compass needle began to spin faster. It seemed to be leading them somewhere, but it was still unclear where. When they reached the entrance of the cave, the needle stopped spinning and pointed straight ahead, towards the peak of the mountain. "I think it's telling us to go higher," Tom said, looking up at the mountain. "But the top is still so far away," Anna said, a little worried. "We've made it this far," Tom said, determination in his voice. "Let's keep going. Whatever's at the top of this mountain, I think we're meant to find it." They continued their climb, now following the compass. The path became even steeper, and the air grew colder with every step. The trees thinned out, and soon they were climbing over bare rocks, with the wind whipping around them. After what felt like hours, they finally reached a narrow ridge just below the summit. The compass needle pointed straight ahead, towards a small, flat area covered with snow. In the center of the flat area, there was something unusual, a large stone slab, partially buried in the snow. Tom and Anna hurried over to the slab and began to brush the snow away. As they cleared it, they saw that the stone was covered in more of the strange symbols, and in the center, there was a circular indentation, just the right size for the compass. "Maybe the compass goes here," Anna said, placing the golden compass in the indentation. As soon as the compass touched the stone, There was a deep rumbling sound, and the stone slab began to move. It slid aside, revealing a hidden staircase leading down into the mountain. Tom and Anna looked at each other in amazement. "This is it," Tom said, "the final part of the adventure." They descended the staircase, which led them to a hidden chamber deep inside the mountain. The chamber was filled with light, despite being underground, and in the center stood a tall, crystal structure glowing with an inner light. "This must be what the compass was leading us to," Anna said, her voice filled with awe. As they approached the crystal, they felt a strange warmth coming from it. The crystal seemed to hum with energy, and they could feel a connection between it and the mountain. "This is the heart of Eagle Peak," Tom said, realizing the importance of their discovery. "This crystal is what gives the mountain its power, but there was more." Around the base of the crystal, they found more ancient writings, like the ones in the book. As they studied them, they realized that the crystal was not just a source of power, but also a key to unlocking the mountain's secrets and the wisdom of those who had come before them. "We need to protect this," Anna said. "It's too important to let anyone else find it and misuse it." Tom nodded in agreement. "We can tell the village about the mountain, but we should keep the crystal a secret. It's a treasure that belongs to the mountain." They left the chamber, carefully sealing the stone slab behind them, and began their journey back down the mountain. The climb down was difficult, but they were filled with a sense of accomplishment. Had discovered the secrets of Eagle Peak, but more importantly, they had discovered the strength and courage within themselves. As they reached the bottom of the mountain, the sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the village. They knew their adventure would become a story,